I don't know why you're nervous. Didn't you used to be in a girl band? I'm going to talk about that as well. I can't.
Nervous. I don't think
But sing karaoke in pubs. I couldn't do stuff like that.
I guess so. I mean, well, it's different. It's a different thing, isn't it? It's not like I haven't had a few drinks in a dark room.
Oh, you sat at our house. Yeah, exactly.
No, it'll be fine.
But it's mad, isn't it?
It'll be fine. I'm all stuffed up now. I feel bad. Sorry.
I did one the other week, and I'd been shouting all weekend at the football, and I sounded terrible. But with the coaching at the weekend, I was screaming at somebody. Type with the refs as well. All right, mate. Well, listen, thank you very much. It's really nice to see you. What were we saying then? 14 years?
14 years.
Because that's when you met Rob, right? So then,
yeah.
And that's when we were in the pub for that wedding. Jesus, 14 years ago. Anyway, part of the reason, isn't it, why the podcast works? Because then it's a sneaky way of seeing people that I haven't seen for ages. But yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming over to Jersey and braving it, fiddling with your fingers.
I know, I'm all nervous.
Welcome to the Crossing the Pond podcast, hosted by me, Gary Adair, where each week our guests will recount their own experiences of resilience and transformation, whether it's moving to a new country, tackling health challenges, changing careers, or breaking through personal barriers. This week's guest is Paula Burke, who after visiting the US numerous times before, finally packed a suitcase and came to New York City for good in 2006. She talked about the ups and downs of finding her feet during the early years, the fond memories of what she left behind in her hometown of Liverpool, and how the community and friendships that she's cultivated over the years gives her a fresh perspective on what she considers to be home. What brought you why did you come to the US? What was it, 06 you came?
Yeah, well, I'd been here like 5 times on holiday.
Right.
And like the first time I came, I fell in love. And that's, as I say, I was back and forth. And
fell in love with the place?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so and I'd worked away before, like my first job was in Ibiza and I was 18, I was a magician's assistant. And then I went on a ship for a while and did it again. And then, I always came home and got a job. And I guess I just got itchy feet and I was like, I was bored and I wanted to come, but I was nervous because I thought, because I'd been so much, they're going to look at my passport and be like, why are you coming? Especially if I come on my own.
So what were you doing when you come on your own? Just visiting and bouncing around?
No, I was coming with mates or, on holiday. We came for my friend's auntie's 40th first and we had a ball, a gang of girls. But this time, no one was going. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So I waited a bit. And then one of the women in work, Glenys, was turning 50 and she was coming with her friend Sue. And then Sue hurt her back and couldn't fly. And she was like, I'm going to lose my money. And I was like, I'll come with you. I said, I'll spend the week with you and then I'll stay and you go because I was being naughty. So she was like, all right. So that's what we did. And we came like we were doing a shopping trip together.
And you didn't know anybody when you came, apart from Glenys?
No. So every time we came, we stayed in the Belvedere on 50th, I think it is, and 8th, between 8th and 9th.
Okay.
So our kind of local, when we came on holiday, was the Blarney Stone on 47th, I think.
Yeah.
So I knew the lads in there from just going in and, drinking in there. We'd go in there to begin with. And then on the way back, wherever we came from, we'd stop in there and on the way home. So I took Glenys to Blarney Stone and had her dancing on the bar on a 50th and everything. And we did the sights and whatever shopping. And then when it was time for her to go, the night before we were in there and I was trying to talk to people to, find an apartment or somewhere to stay, a couch or something. So this fellow started talking to us. He was a regular there. And he was like, he said, I live in Jersey. He said, but I have an office here. He said, but I never use it. He was like, and I'm paying rent. I said, obviously I'll be paying you. So he was like, all right, well, you could stay there. So I was like, honestly, I was like, you're not drunk, right? You're not messing around.
In an office?
It's he used it as an office. It was a little apartment.
Yeah.
But he used it as an office. And I said to the lads, is he all right? Is he and they were like, yeah, he's a lovely fella. And I was like, honest to God, because I was still kind of in two minds, should I stay or whatever? And he was like, no, honest to God, he gave me his work number, he gave me his home number and all this. So I was like, all right. So I was like, all right, I'm staying. So the next day I put Glenys in the cab and Glenys was terrified. She was like, I can't leave you. I was like, I'll be all right. I said, I'll just come home if anything. But I didn't really have the money for a flight even.
You have to have some motivation though to go, oh yeah, I'm just going to go and live in this fella's office for...
Yeah, I just loved New York. I loved being here. Every time I was coming home, I was sad. I was proper down. And there's not there was anything at home that was terrible. I love home. I love everyone.
Yeah.
But I was just bored. I was like, I want more. I want...
How old are you at that point?
I was 26.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, I'm older, you know.
You've come 5 times on Aldi. We've got to go back to this magician's assistant thing as well, by the way, mate. We're not leaving that alone. What's a magician's assistant in Ibiza?
Well, so I went to theatre school when I'd left high school, and I wanted to be a dancer. Like, even though I liked singing, I wasn't as confident in the singing. So I loved dancing, but I wanted to like travel and beyond, like, you know, like kind of showgirly stuff. But I wasn't tall enough. I was too short. Yeah, like they want like 5'5" and up, and I'm 5'3", and so 5'5" with heels, there's no chance. So I was like, ugh. And then all of a sudden, this magician came around, auditioning girls to like get in the box. I was like, that me? I can
In
do
the
that.
box you were in? You get
Like
sword
set
and
on
half and that?
fire. Yeah, all of it. Balanced on a sword, disappeared, reappeared.
God, I didn't know this. This is brilliant. All right, okay.
So he picked me, and I thought I'll get to incorporate a bit of dance into the routine. I get to travel and what I want to do, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what we did. But the magician was awful. He was like going through a breakup, I guess.
Oh.
So he was like drinking all the time, forgetting his stuff. He set me on fire. Like, he actually set my hair on fire one night. Well, I had like this fake pony in, but I was in the box and I was like, oh my God, my hair's on fire. It was awful. Anyway, it was fine.
Oh my God.
He put it out, but it was an experience.
Can you tell us any secrets, or are you going to get kicked out the magic circle if you...
Well, to be honest, it's hard because every illusion is different, but it's all tricks of the eyes. It's basically what it is. It's still an illusion, you know. They use a lot of black and silver, so everything looks smaller than it is.
Right.
So you can think, oh, well, she's not in there, but I'm in there. Like, even at one time with another magician on the ship, we did this thing called the origami, and it was a table, and it looked like this tin, and then it had like a cards all around it, so I'd step in that, and then he'd shut it up into a box, and there was like, he'd put a sword through that way and a sword through that way, and everyone thinks but I was in the table underneath, kind of thing. And then they'd open it back up, and
you can see the swords or no?
Well, the swords went through my legs, like this way and this way. My knees were up in the box.
Oh, okay.
And the girl after me.
I still don't get it, even though you explained it to me.
It's hard, but so when he shuts the box up, that's my knees are there, but the rest of my body is flat in the table.
Yeah.
So when he puts the swords in, you have to make sure your legs are in the right position because he's putting them through. But the girl after me got it in the wrong way, and he put a blunt sword right through her foot. Yeah, she was out of commission for a while.
That's brutal. All right, okay. Enough magic talk.
Okay.
I could talk about it all day, though, but I'm not going to. So, all right, so what's outside of the 5 trips and the local and the sightseeing and everything else, what's America like when you finally decide, okay, this is me, I'm going to stay?
You mean like the first couple of days?
Well, just anyway, in general, like once you start, did you get a job straight away or?
No, so that guy ended up letting me down. So I'm sitting with my suitcase in the Blarney Stone crying. And the bartender, Jerry, was like, you can stay on my couch for a week. He said, but find a job, find somewhere to stay. And I was like, okay. I was like, thank you. So I walked around like about 50 bars, probably more. Every bar, like they told me where to go. They said, go along second and third. And so that's what I did. And I kept going and going. And they're like, no, we need New York experience. I'm like, how am I going to get New York experience if you kept on. And I sat down at one point and I was like all down. And I was like, you're not going to get anywhere if you do this, So I got back up. And the next place I went into was the Pig and Whistle.
Yeah. Which one?
Third. It's the one across from PJ Clark's.
Yes.
So... And they started me as a host, 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. Monday to Friday, $100 a day. I was like, I'll take it. I was delighted. And then in the Blarney Stone, I met this woman who lived upstairs, and she was like, I have a futon. So I started staying with her, but that was a disaster. She was awful.
Just a random out the pub again?
Yeah. But I was like, great. So anyway, I went up and it wasn't the best, but I was like, whatever, somewhere to stay. I wanted to go get a shower and the bathroom was minging. Like, honest to God, I had to scrub. I was like, I'll have to clean it because I can't. You wouldn't feel clean going. It was minty. So I was scrubbing the back down because it was like a bathtub with the shower in.
Yeah.
But the back, I don't think it'd ever been washed. So I scrub it all and all that, right? And then I'm like, all right, right, I want to get a nice hot shower. And then I realised I don't have a towel. Because I'd stayed in an hotel and I didn't think about bringing a towel with me for something, And she was like, you can use mine. Well, they were crispy. I was like, what? I was like, I can't. So I remember there was a Kmart by Madison Square Garden. Right?
Yes.
But for some reason, I couldn't find it. I was walking around for hours. And we didn't have a phone then with the map. And I was asking people, but most people were tourists. And I was like, and I was starting to lose it. I was like, I just want a shower, because I felt minging then, because I've been cleaning.
Yeah.
And I remember my mum said to me, your nan, if you need it. Now, my nan passed away in our house when I was like 10, 11. And I was like, all right, mum. And I do kind of believe in that stuff, but, you know, you feel a bit soft.
Mm.
So it got to the point where I was like, oh, I just want to go home, you know. I was like, Nan, I just want a towel, like just a cheap towel.
Where's this, in the middle of the street?
In the middle of the street. And I swear to God, I turned the corner and there was a Jewish guy put out a pasting table, $5 towels. And I looked up and I go,
get lost.
I was like, what? I was like, I'll take two. I was like, and I called my mum right away and told her. She was like, I told you. She was like, I'll have to call our Margie and tell our Margie. I was like, it was unbelievable to me. I believed and I felt the strength again to kind of stay. And
so you're on 500 quid a week in the Pig and Whistle.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for? A while.
A couple of years, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
I can't. Jesus.
Because then I moved up to Sabre. He wouldn't move me up. I hated this manager. I still do. He made me train for 4 days unpaid, and all the girls were even saying that's bullshit because I could do the job.
Yeah.
I've been putting orders in. I knew all those tables. I knew how things run. I've been hosting.
And you're not like a little kid, are you? Either.
Anyway. I did it because what was I going to do?
Yeah.
So then I moved up to saving, and I was saving for a while. And then, you know, you get into, you meet a mate, and then you start going out and drinking all night, and started coming in hungover to brunches. And at some point they were like, we don't need you anymore. And I was like, fair enough. Because I was like, you know, just coming in like not caring. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they didn't care about you.
I didn't like him.
So what sort of stuff do you do? What sort of stuff do you do? Like going out? Isn't it mad when you first start going out around here? Liverpool and New York, close, like similar in some ways, you think?
Yeah, definitely. Like
night out wise, yeah.
I thought the nightlife was great in Liverpool, but you stick to your own mates, right? You know your own mates who you grew up with, and you kind of go out with them, or schoolmates or whatever.
Yeah.
And you might bump into different people, but you stick to your own, really. I feel like, whereas here, you're meeting all different people from all over.
Now, for you, because you've come here, you say that about sticking to your own, have you just got it in you to sort of trust people? Like trust a guy who had the office, trust a girl who said she'd give you the futon?
I mean,
because that would be like the opposite of sticking to your own, isn't it? If you just got that in you just see the good in people.
I think so, but I also did ask the other people who knew,
right?
You know, them to vouch, and even though they vouched for him and he said no, I can see why he kind of got a bit nervous. He was married, and it maybe his wife, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
so
it does look a bit dodgy then.
Yeah, I've got this girl sleeping in my office.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I get that part of it. Because that's what the lads said. They were like, it's probably his wife, or he's, you know.
Yeah.
And then with Shannon, the girl who let me stay on the futon, she was fine. I mean, she was annoying and
trusty
oh my God, I'd come home and she slept on the couch. Oh, she didn't even tell me there was a guy sleeping in the bedroom. So one day I wake up and this guy walks in and he's like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Paula and I live here. Who are you? He's like, I'm Vinny, I live here. And I was like, what?
She's just invited.
He worked on the fish market, so I never really saw him. Like, his hours were odd hours.
Okay.
And because I was like, why is she always sleeping on the couch when she's got a bedroom? It was a 1-bedroom. And I was on the futon, but there was like a divider. But I would come in and she'd be asleep on the couch with she was a big girl too. She'd have a t-shirt on that was like rising up and no knickers or nothing.
Oh.
And I'd be like, oh my God.
Get out of there. How long did you stay there?
A lot, too long. Because it was cheap.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was never there.
Yeah.
I only slept there. So I'd go to work, I'd be at work all day, I'd eat at work, and then I'd go out, and then I'd go up and go right to sleep. So at the weekends, I tried to get out as much as I could, you know.
What were some of the biggest... That's funny, that. Oh,
I know.
The amount of times I've balked already in this. What were some of the biggest differences culturally when you get here? Because, again, it is pretty similar. I always think Liverpool, certain part, and I got slagged for this, certain parts of downtown look like Liverpool to me. You know, like the water and the big sort of maritime building. You know, like the Liver buildings and things like. They look a little bit like downtown, where the certain parts of the financial district. I'll get torched for that as well because everyone thinks, you know, they all
from who? From
they all take the mickey. I mean, no, everybody else from Liverpool go. There's no way you talk.
Oh, really? No, I can see what you're saying.
My point is that kind of looks the same, and people are kind of the same as well. Working class, like lads, you know, working on the docks or the fish market or the markets or whatever it is, but. What were some of the different things that you Took you a little bit of a while to get used to.
Not everyone gets the humour.
No.
Like, so that was kind of annoying to me. And this part too was like annoying, but it not because, so obviously everyone thinks you're Irish. They did with me anyway.
Yeah, same.
Which it doesn't annoy me. I love the Irish. Like, it's not, but it's annoying when they just don't know, like, the difference. And it's fine if they're like, oh, sorry. I'm like, no, I'm not offended or anything. But this one guy, this one fellow, one time I was on the train and my mate Tyrell was over and I was with my mate, Irish mate Karen too. And I'm telling them a story, right, on the train, whatever. And this guy's sitting on the other side facing me and he's all, like we say, looking up in our teeth, like all, listening to me. And I was like, and he was kind of distracting me because he was really staring. But anyway, I finished the story and he's like, what county you claim? And I was like, oh, well, actually, I'm English. And he was like, and turned around and I said, she's Irish. And so we turned around and started all talking to Karen, which is fine. I don't want to talk to you anyway, but that annoys me when someone just because you're not from somewhere.
He doesn't know anything about you, so he doesn't know what to say. He's got no lines, has he?
But it was he was kind of rude. I was like, no, Ed.
There's the accent barrier thing for you?
Definitely.
Is the things now that you say American sort? I mean, you have to as well because of the kids and everything else.
Well,
the
also
proper American thing
at work. Yeah.
Well, that was good.
That's
the acting school,
It started in the Pig and Whistle because when I moved up to Server, and the first thing you ask a table, oh, can I get you some water? And I was nervous, because I've never really waitressed. So I was like, hi, how are you? Can I get you some water? And the one girl looked at the other girl, didn't even acknowledge me, and was like, what did she say? And I was like, started ran in the back, and I was like,
horrible.
Yeah, like just be like, sorry, what was that? That annoyed me too. But then I'd have to come round and say, oh, burger, and then you feel like a knob.
No, because you just feel like everyone's looking at you, who you know, even though they're not.
And even like the date and the time and all that kind of stuff, you'd have to change, right?
Yeah.
I sometimes, I'm bad because I sometimes forget the word at home, and I'm like, oh, and then I want to cry because
I've started doing that now.
I feel like I've changed so much, but I kind of had to.
Yeah.
Even my mates and I'm like, oh God, you sound like a Yank. I'm like, no, I don't.
You can't win. You can't win because if you go home, you sound like a Yank, and if you're here, you sound English. But it's madness, isn't it? You talked about like coming over here and just winging it, basically. How hard was it to leave home?
It was hard. I think because I'd done it a couple of times before, like the very first time I left, I sobbed on the bus leaving. Leaving my mum because my mum was sobbing, and that was, I was 18 too, so I was a lot younger, I feel like. Then it was hard to leave, but I thought I was going to go home. I thought after 3 months I was coming home again, and then I just loved it so much. I was like, I think I'm going to stay for a bit longer. But you know what? The night before I was supposed to fly, like I didn't pack my case or nothing. So I feel guilty about it now, but I was like, I kind of knew in my head that I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I'll have to go,
Would it have been like a failure thing, or would it just been like, I don't want to leave?
Not really a failure thing, but it would have been harder again to come back again, I think.
And then start again.
And I was just like, what am I going to go home? I have to get another job again at home and pretend that I want to be at home. I don't know.
What else did you leave behind at home? The magician's assistant thing has got me, but weren't you in a girl band there when at some point back home?
Yeah.
This performing stuff.
So it was actually after the ship. I was on the ship. These magician jobs were just summer jobs. So I was coming off the ship and my two friends, Beverly, I went to theatre school with, and her sister, Barbara, they're both amazing singers. And they said to me, we were thinking about starting up a thing like called karaoke. So where we'll all sing individually and together, and then we'll get people up and, we'll get our own equipment and we'll just go around pubs and stuff. They were like, do you want to be a part of it? And I was like, yeah.
Where's this, in town? Just going around town?
No, not even town, just different pubs in Liverpool. Okay, we did some rough pubs, like Crocky, and got a little bit hairy now and again. So... And I enjoyed it for the longest time. But then when we did a couple of them pubs, there was sometimes I didn't want to go to those pubs because there was fights and guns and drugs and, getting home. The taxis wouldn't come to pick us up because they were scared to come in the area. So it was like, how do I get home from here? There was no buses running. So I kind of got a bit fed up. That was another reason, I guess. Not that I got fed up with the girls. I loved singing with them and everything, but it just seemed like we were still, just doing the same thing.
Yeah. Were you doing all right out of it, or was it just like a little part?
We were, yeah. I also worked in Boots in the day. I worked on the benefit counter, so I was making a wage, commission, and then I was making, I can't even remember, I think we got 50 quid each. And we did it maybe 3 or 4 nights.
So it's a little bit, yeah.
And then sometimes we'd do like a christening or a communion. Yeah. I'd do the balloon animals.
Because of the magician thing again.
And my mate Barbara did face painting. And Beverly would do dances with the kids, singing and dancing. We get the kids up on karaoke. And the parents were loving it. So they'd just be like, stay longer. And they'd be just throwing money at us because they wanted to sit and drink while the kids were entertained.
That's funny.
So we made pretty good money.
Was there any other jobs that you looked for? Or did you just go straight into bartending?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I really was more into the singing then.
Right.
So I thought, well, maybe I'll come and try and do competitions or, And I got here and I swear to God, everyone was a singer. Like every time you were in a bar, people were singing in the toilet and like really good. And I was like, so I felt like in Liverpool, I felt like me, Beverly and Barbara were like big fishes in a little pond. And then you come in and I was like, well, I'm not now. Like, so I also was scared because I was illegal, so I was worried that they'd ask me for some kind of, ID or whatever, Oh,
you'd have to fill in loads of people.
Yeah. So I was nervous about that too. That's like everyone I knew were like, get into waitressing and bartending because you make loads of money. And then I thought, well, maybe I can revisit it, So that was the reason. And then once you get in it and you're making the money and it's easy.
Yeah.
And then you're going out and having a laugh.
With the money.
Spending all the money.
But you've still got the money as well. It is mad, isn't it? The amount of money you can make doing it. But was that the best thing to do from experience standpoint? Like working in the bar, having the money, did it afford you to be able to go and do stuff where you think to yourself, there's no way I'm doing this at home? Like, did you go to were you like a Broadway show person? Would you go and watch stuff like that, pay for it, or would you just be out and about events and things?
More so out and about at first.
Yeah.
But also like the amount of people you meet and, I don't know, the connections and you do think like I wouldn't do this at home.
Yeah.
Like at one point I'd end up, like I met these lads who, got everyone into the clubs and I was like, I don't want to stand in any lines. So I would just give them a call and they'd meet me out front and just walk me through. And, I'm supposed to stand at the table, but I wouldn't. I'd just go to the bar, get myself a drink and dance away all night, It was just to get me in. Just little things like that. And then, also just being in the city, walking around and just...
It's cool, isn't it? It's
cool. Because I lived on 8th, but I worked on it. So I'd walk and I'd always walk along 5th because it was all lit up. And one night, it was around Christmas and I was a bit down and, sometimes you have a crap night.
You have moments, yeah.
And I'm like walking down and, feeling sorry for myself. And then the light show at Saks come on and I got like all goosebumps. And I was like, I'm in New York. Like, what am I crying about? This is what you wanted. And I just got that feeling again that I was like, so.
I used to like that. I used to walk when I used to work in the Airy Monk a little bit. And I'd walk across Madison Square Park. And they'd always have the art stuff. And one day they had do you remember the statues at Crosby Beach?
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
Yeah, I was like the man.
So they had them in the park.
Who?
1 week. It was like a week they had them in and they were on the buildings and they were on everything. And then you seen them and you're like, all right, okay, this is pretty cool. And like, obviously bit of home but then you're also here as well. I used to like the walks. You see some random stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
For good and bad, I suppose. Yeah. So I know you mentioned the singing there. And karaoke is mad, isn't it? Because you can't go to a karaoke. It's not like back home. Karaoke, people are coming off Broadway doing karaoke to practice to go back on Broadway.
Which that kind of annoys me.
I think so too.
I'm like, get hire a place. Like, I don't want to. I'm sorry, but at karaoke, I don't want to listen to show tunes all night long.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind one or two, but sometimes they're like, Mary. I'm like, oh my God, I came out for a laugh. So yeah,
Do you do any now?
I do karaoke's. I was in a band for a little bit here, a rockabilly band. Well, it was literally, we practiced so much and all the other guys were in other bands as well. But it was my friend Bobby who I met in the village. He was a cop and then he retired and he's a brilliant drummer. So they were all in bands, but he always wanted to do rockabilly. So he asked me, he was like, would you be interested in singing? And I was like, yeah. So we practiced for so long. We did one gig in Staten Island, which went really well because they all lived in Staten Island. So that's why we did it there. And it was brilliant. But then it all kind of fell by the wayside because it was too much for the guys. All had jobs and were in other bands too. So like to take on another band, it was just too much. So, do
you still sing a bit now?
What else? I mean, my friend introduced me to this thing called the Gaia Music Collective. They have an Instagram page and you pay like $10-20 maybe. And we all met in a basement in Bushwick. And it was like loads of people, all different ages.
Singing?
Yeah, and we sang. So they send music out, and you learn a part. And this was Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, and it was brilliant. It was really fun.
Did you know
to do.
anybody in there?
My friend Deirdre, who I work with, she said, "Do you want to come with me? I'd like to do this." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we went, and nobody else.
I thought that was going to be another one. Yeah, I just went to some basements in Bushwick on my own.
No, I mean, I probably would, to be honest with you.
I don't even know why I'm asking.
But I'm all for it. But it was great. I want to do it again because they do it all the time.
Yeah,
like all over. They do it all over. But
where'd you get that from? Like, did your mum and dad sing or anything like that, or family in the house, or did
No, I don't think so. My dad says he was in the choir, but I don't know what. He was an altar boy too. He got fired for stealing the wine.
I think every Scouser Catholic said they were in the choir at some point. What sort of relationship did you have with your parents when you came? Were they happy you were here and having a laugh and enjoying it?
Oh yeah, they wanted me to go and do whatever I wanted. They've always been supportive and loving and like go for it. Just make sure you're all right. Yeah. And once they came over here and they met all my mates and everything, because I made so many friends, and I'm still good friends with people 15 years later. You could tell they were so much more relaxed then when they met everyone, and they knew I was like settled and I was all right and I was looked after. Yeah.
Did they know you? I mean, they must have known pretty early on like you weren't a home bird, even though you love Liverpool and you love your family and everything else, but you weren't.
Yeah, they know I'm a little gypsy.
That's all right though, isn't it? I mean, that's not a bad thing. Community's massive as well. I talk about this all the time. Like, how big has your community got since you've been here? Is it you're just picking up people as you go from different bars and just as the years or places, and you just
different places I've worked, whether them be customers or people I've worked with. Still friends with customers from Bayards in the village, which was years ago. The Junction, one of my friends, Heidi, invites us out to the house in the Hamptons every summer with the kids, to have like the big pool party. My friend Doug, who I've known for 15 years, Karen, who I met at Mustang Sally's. Like we were just in Florida not long ago to get like a little girls trip.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's mad. And then sometimes you'll go in somewhere and you're like this. One time I went to meet one of my teachers from home. My art teacher was over, and I was like, "Oh, I'd love to meet up with you." And she brought me a couple of prints of what, like, I'll show you later. She gave me some of her cards to hand out. So, and then off they went to dinner, her and her wife. So I was like, "Oh, I'll stop in here before I get the train." And the band was setting up. I was like, "Oh, let me." And it was Dave Barker, a fella who I've known from Queens for years. So I got up and sang with them, and I was.
Do you find that mad? I find that mad now that it started to happen to me a little bit more last couple of years. Like at home, you'll bump into people, right, in town or wherever on the street, and you think nothing of it. Here, all of a sudden, you bump into people who you know in New York City. I feel
like I bump into more people here than I did at home.
Yeah. I find
unless
that
right on your street.
I find it the strangest thing in the world. Like,
weird.
And I'm like, what are you doing here? Even though they're from here and they live here and you've met them here, you're like, what are you doing here? Why am I meeting? Because I'm just used to just walking along and minding my own business.
Yeah,
but it must be nice. It must be. I mean, it's nice in a nice way, isn't it? Be bumping all these people.
Yeah, even when my mum and dad were over, everywhere we went, I knew someone, and so I was like, let's go somewhere I don't know, so I can talk to yous, because like, otherwise we split off and we're all, talking to everyone. And they were like, we don't mind, girl, And I was like, all right, let's go in here. So we got walking, and the fella behind the bar was like, Scouser! And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, my dad was like made up because he was like, oh, everyone knows her,
Yeah. My dad does that as well. When people know you, oh God. So I'll go the elephant in the room a little bit. And if you're up for it, you don't have to talk about it. I know it's a tough one, but are you up for talking a little bit about the experience of losing your parents as well after, and how that went? Like what happened there? Because obviously you're in the situation you're in, you're here, you can't go home at the time.
It was horrible.
Yeah, sorry, mate, I've got you.
No, it's all right. I'm sorry because I was trying to prepare myself for it. It was the worst thing. I wouldn't, if anyone was coming over again, I'd say never do it. I mean, you probably couldn't do it the way I did it anymore anyway, but I wouldn't wish it. Like, don't do it because it was just horrible. And my mum went pretty quick. Like, she went into the hospital and my sister was like, oh, maybe you should come home. And then they were like, no, she's fine. Like, this is going over a couple of days. She wants you to stay where you are. You're settled. She doesn't want you to come home. There's nothing to come home for. She said, I'm in Scotland. Your dad's in London. Like, stay where you are, But I was like, it was hard. I was I was like, you know what, I have to. It's me mum. You
Yeah.
know, it's me mum. So
Did you speak to her, or was it
no,
just
she had to have a tracheotomy.
Oh,
So that was another thing that was hard. But our Karen is very straightforward, and our Karen would tell me, you know.
yeah.
So I went to sleep that night and I was thinking, you know what, tomorrow I've got to just get a flight. I'll have to. I don't care, you know. And through the night they called me that she'd got. It was horrible. I was actually living with the owner right then, one of the owners of the bars, Julie, and I just knocked on Julie's door. She was like, come here. So I just got into bed with her. And
I don't know.
yeah, they were so good to me. They help me set up like a memorial for her and everything. So that was nice. But yeah, it was awful. It was awful.
Was it your mum that said? Was it your mum that stopped you from coming back? Did you take on the advice of your mum? Like, listen.
Yeah, because I thought, what if I go home? Well, because after she'd passed, like Karen said, don't come home now. Like, don't. She's gone. Like, it's not her. She's a Paula. She doesn't look like her. You know, she wouldn't want you to see you like this. She'd want you to remember her how she was. And she wanted, her wish was for you to stay there. So I was like, you know, but I still feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
You know?
What was she like, your mum?
She was boss. She was the best. She was just, everybody loved her. She was just fun, Pat, everyone. Oh, Karen said the church was packed, you know.
That's nice though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. And people still talk about it. People still, you know, I've had friends come over, or like gymnast coaches and stuff that have been here and I've met them and they're like, oh, your mum was the best. We always talk about it. And, you know, that's what I try to do. Always talk about my mum to the kids and to Rob's family because they never met her. They met my dad. They loved me dad. But they were really the best. They were always funny and, you know, hardworking and supportive and loving and all the things that you want, you know. And yeah, it's tough because I wish my kids had got to meet both of them. Yeah, my dad was here for our wedding, and then in the next year he had a heart attack, so he went quickly too, and I was waiting for my green card, so I couldn't. The lawyer was like, "I don't think you should go home," and our Karen was like, "Don't." She's like, "So I had a memorial for my dad here too." So that was another. I also feel guilty about our Karen because she had to do it on her own, you know. So there's still a bit of guilt there.
So, what was your dad like then? Because I always see pictures. You post pictures. What is it? Aid the suit.
Aid the suit. He was like the social life of the party.
Did they both from the same place? Did they grow up together in Walton?
No. My dad was from the Flower Streets, so they met later on as well, and then they didn't get married for a long time. Like they travelled together and all that. Yeah, adored each other. Don't get me wrong, they killed each other too, but they loved each other. You know, they were always like, my dad would work away. He worked away quite a bit because he could make more money. But he'd come home and he'd say to me, "Mum, get dressed up, and I want to take you out and show you off." You know, and she'd be like, "All right," you know, she loved it. And like as we got older, every Sunday we used to get up and get dolled up and we'd go down County Road and we'd do like we get a taxi to the Dock Road because one of my aunties owned a couple of bars like the Cowboy House, and we'd go and like there'd be live music or a comedian or whatever, and we'd go and like have a laugh, and then we'd work our way back up the road. And they were our Sundays, like, you know, when we were old enough to drink and stuff, and we used to have a laugh. We'd have a great day.
That's funny though, isn't it? It's nice to have, but it's nice to have that memory as well. And did it make it a lot easier? I know you said you put a lot on your sister, but did it make it easier that she was so understanding of the situation, do you think? Like,
yeah, she, you know, definitely. And she always gets annoyed with me if I get upset, or if I post something, she's like, she'll call me, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, just..."
Is she older or younger?
Older.
Okay.
3 years older. She's so strong, but like, I still feel that, you know, it was a lot on her. But yeah, it did help that she was like, "Don't care about what anyone else thinks," you know, like, because I'd be like, "What must people think?" That, you know, she's like, we know, you know, what we should do and what my mum and dad wanted and for us, you know. So that does help.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure people say, "Well, you know, why didn't you come back?" But people, you can't do what other people think is the right thing to do. You've got to do what's best for you, haven't you? And even at that time, you have your sister's the smart decision in it, really. I mean, there's not much you can do. It must just have been, it sounds horrible, but it must have been easier given that it did happen quick.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But it's like, yeah.
Because not a lot of people I know have had to shoulder that. And that's, I mean, That's a big thing, isn't it? That's something that's worth mentioning, because it's not just you that has to go through this stuff, is that there's other people probably in the same boat as you, and they've had to deal with it in their own way as well. And
yeah, I've had friends who've like, had hard things happen, and it just reminds you that we make these decisions, and you don't always think about that, right? Obviously, when I was 26 and I overstayed, I wasn't thinking about that at all.
No.
Like, it doesn't come into your head. You think they're going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And Karen just says, she's like, look, you wouldn't have Rob or the kids. She's like, think about all that stuff. And
that's another question, isn't it? Like, what sort of things do you find comfort in, or have you found comfort in since then, that make you think, you know what? All right, it's tough, but it was the right thing to do.
Just looking at the kids, and, Rob is amazing. Like,
yeah.
I never thought I'd meet a lad. At one point, I was like, I'm not going to meet anyone who gets me, or who we just click, and then it all happened one night when I least expected it, which is what they say. I know it's kind of corny, but
when your guard's down.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. Well, that's funny, because when I first, and this is the maddest thing, like the last time you and me were talking, or we were in the same room, must have been 14 years ago, right? And you were talking about that. I goes, yeah, I can't believe I've met it. And you pointed at him, I can't believe I've met him. But you said that, but he just gets it. He understands, he knows what's going on. Like, how did that happen? Did you just meet?
This is another story.
This is brilliant. I can't wait for this one. But what was it? First of all, how did you meet? Oh, yeah, have a swig of tea. Do you want some gin in it?
Yeah. You see me eyeing up the cabinet?
I know, yeah. Just so everybody knows.
Yeah,
so, all right, first of all, how'd you meet him? And second of all, what's your first impression of him being American and that?
So, basically, it was a Thursday, right? I finished work at the junction. I finished my bar shift at 7. And I was like, well, you know what? I fancy a drink. So I went round to Peter Dillon's. Do you know Peter Dillon's? Den of Iniquity. So I go in there, and I know everyone, obviously. I know the bartenders, all the customers are kind of my customers too. So I'm in there sitting having a couple of drinks. And he was there with a friend from work. And to be honest, I didn't really note. I mean, I saw them standing there because he's a big fella, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden we just started chatting. And I was like, there was a bit of banter going, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Because you don't usually, I'm like, but he was interested in me. So we were chatting away, and then his mate left, and then people started leaving, and then we started having shots, and then we were dancing together. And I know it sounds weird, but like, it felt like there was only me and him in Peter Dillon's. So I'm like, and then all of a sudden I get a call. I'm like, tell him to do one. And he's like, why? And I'm like, you're trying to get him in knickers? And he was like, well, it's 2 a.m. on a Thursday. So yes, I am. I was like, get away, ta-ra. So anyway, I left, I guess, went home. And I had to work the next day because I work Monday to Friday. So I wake up and I was like, oh, I like that fella. And I couldn't remember his name. And I was like, did I get his number? Did he get mine? And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, you meet a fella that you like and you've blown it up.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. I was like, well, I had to get ready for work anyway. So get ready for work. Off I go. But all day my head was wrecked. And I was like, did I pay me check? So, so I finished and I'm like, well, it's Friday and I'm off the weekend. So let me go round and make sure I paid and whatever. So I go round and I'm like, Barry, did I? And he's like, yes, you paid your check. I guess I did it a couple of times. And I was like, who was that fella? And he was like, oh, he's a nice lad, I've known him. And he was like, oh, you told him to do one? And I was like, that sounds like me. So I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. What are you going to do? I'll have a drink. So he gave me a drink and I'm sitting there chatting with everyone. Anyway, the time goes on and the next thing I felt a tap on my shoulder. And I was like, hello, what are you doing here? And he was like, to see if you were here. I was like, all right, get your coat. We sat and had a couple of drinks and, yeah. And then that was it. We started going out.
That's brilliant. Are there any things, even now, you've been married for 10? No.
Yeah.
10?
10 years.
Ish?
2014 we got married.
All right, yeah. So 10 or 11.
In October.
11 years in October. Okay, so are there still things that he needs to get used to now when it comes to being married to a Scouser? Because Scouse birds are crazy.
Yeah, we're just nutters.
Yeah.
Even like if he's talking to people at work and he's like, oh, my wife's a Scouser. And they go, oh. Huh? And I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, you're still behind him.
Yeah. But he knows what he married, so.
Yeah, he does, yeah. The first day told him to get lost. So you've had 2 sons since then, right? Ellis and Cole.
Yeah.
That must be fun.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
We talked a little bit about it in the car then. How do you balance the life as a mum with your work and also your passion? Do you still go for singing and stuff like that? And
Yeah, well, I'll do it like if I've got like a night out planned or whatever, I'll try to work it in somehow, or if everyone's cool with it, whoever I'm going out with, be like, oh, do you fancy stopping here or doing that, Yeah. Or like I say, when my friend Deirdre asked me to go, Rob's really supportive. He's always like, yeah, go for it, do it. It's something cool. It's hard. Like, we're lucky because like Rob can work from home, and also I found a job where I've got the hours that I want, which is hard to do when waitressing. Usually you just have to do whatever they tell you, kind of. But so I'm lucky I've got time to be with the kids and the weekends off. And but yeah, it's still a bit of a challenge to try to
juggle
to work it in, because sometimes you feel a bit selfish, being like, well, I want to go and do this, or I want to, I need time to do that, but you've got to, it's good for you to do that, because then you come back refreshed and like.
Well, that's it. You can't, yeah. And you do a lot based on social media and what I see when you post it. You do a lot of stuff with the kids.
Yeah, we try to.
Yeah. And you told me you were in school, working in school the other day, doing a little bit of help in the school with one of the.
Oh, yeah. We've like, I try to volunteer when I can. They don't invite you into the classroom as much anymore because
safeguarding.
Yeah. But when we can volunteer, we do. Sports.
How's that with all the American kids?
It's fun. No, it's all right. It's a bit scary because you are actually in charge. Like, you don't want, like, one time we went on the ferry and the kids are like trying to climb over the side. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I promised your mum I'd keep you safe, more scared of the other kids. Like,
are there any other like, are the all American mums in the school as well? Or
there's a bit different. Mostly I feel like American.
Yeah.
Mostly American, especially in our neighbourhood.
Nice. Kids are mental, man. Are there any traditions or sayings or mannerisms from back home that you try and carry over now with the boys? Like, is it stuff you say to them? Is it stuff to make them do? Do you make sure the immersion heat is switched off?
What do you think this is? Blackpool Illuminations?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Turn the light.
Even Rob says that now. He's like, what do you think this is, Blackpool?
And has he ever been to Blackpool?
He has, actually.
Has he?
Yeah. Because my mate, actually, she was the singer on the boat and she lives in Blackpool. So when we were home, I was like, we'll have to go see Jojo and, go up to Blackpool.
Yeah.
And it was pissing down with rain, pardon me. As usual it is when you go to Blackpool. Yeah. But we had a laugh. And so now he says, what do you think it is, Blackpool? When all the lights are on, or I do say a lot of sayings. Some you can't say anymore, like we talked about. Traditions is hard. Like, I want to do more of that as they get older. It's hard while they're young. Certain things, like, the picky eaters. So I want to get into doing a Sunday roast.
Yeah.
But it's like, to put all that effort in just for me and Rob. Just for Rob.
Just for Rob, yeah. Husband's
they're weird. They don't want the gravy. They want it on the side. They want everything separate. Kids are like that.
I can understand that though,
So
we speak to Kel later. She'll be like, yeah, he's like that.
Well, it's like Ellis will eat vegetables, Cole will not. Like, it's mad. But stuff like Christmas, like, I want them to have new clothes and new socks and new undies, and that's what we did. Or Easter,
yeah.
You have a new rig out, that's what we always did at home. And Rob's like, they don't need new clothes every time. I'm like, yeah, they do. That's what we do.
Full matching.
Yeah. They need an haircut.
Full trackie with a pair of 110s on.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want them to look like homeless. He's like, oh my God.
When you look back at all this now, from moving to the US, living in the city, different places, working different places, now living in Brooklyn with your family, is there a particular moment or experience that stands out as something that you're like, yeah, I'm all right here, I've done okay?
I mean, I would think maybe having the kids was more when I felt like, I don't know. I mean, I felt all right for a long time. I think meeting Rob, getting married, his family are great. Like, they love me like I'm their own, So there's been a couple of different moments, I guess, where I feel like I'm fine.
Was there a moment, and I'm not trying to dig here again, but was there a moment where you were able to move past everything with your mum and dad? And
I don't think.
I mean, not that you'll ever move past it.
Yeah.
But was there a moment where you're like, you know what, I'm all right? Like a little bit of closure kind of set in.
I do feel like with the kids and all that, like, it just seems like this is what was meant to be,
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's still hard, and I'm still grieving. I always
course,
will.
yeah.
I'm trying, like, lots of therapy, and Rob's great, and the kids are cute. They're always like, they'll ask me things, and Cole's like, "Do you want to get out your pictures?" Like, because I brought loads of pictures over, and so it's sweet. And I think
and you did get, I mean, you've been back now, haven't you? Obviously, you just said then you've been to Blackpool.
Well, so we're going to go back next year. My sister's getting married.
Okay.
So we're all going to go. Because the kids have never been.
Right.
So we're all going to go to, well, she's getting married in Scotland, but we'll definitely have to stop at home. And, so I'm kind of excited and nervous for that, but fun nervous, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you still have mates like back home in town, in and around town as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. And my Auntie Margie, and then my Uncle Tom's in Runcorn. We'll maybe try and get up to see him.
Yeah, you pay a fortune to get over that bridge now, though. Don't do it.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get home and see what they think of it,
They must have little flashes of things where you're like, oh, that looks like my mum, or that looks like me dad.
Yeah, definitely. Or the actions, or certain things. They tease me. They like the little ones more into like doing my accent.
Is he any good at it?
He's funny, yeah.
Has there been other people, like you've said, Rob's been huge for you and really helped you out and helped you in understanding and everything. And he seems like a really sound. He just seems sound, doesn't he? But has there been other people in particular along the way that have really helped you out? Like you mentioned about Julie before when you found out about your mum.
Yeah.
Has there been people who's, Deidre taking you to singing?
Julie, Johnny and Ivan.
Yeah.
And Kieran, they've all been really great along the way, helping me out and just being good friends and people and bosses. And my friend Doug, who I've known from the village, like he babysat for us the other week. Like he comes and helps out, and he's just a good friend, who's there. And my friend Karen, the Irish girl I met at Mustang Sally's, I can always call her and she'll always be there in a heartbeat,
Yeah.
So, and my friend Terrell at home, like friends at home too, who I'll just message and stuff. Terrell's been over a lot, and she's another one who understands about here and home, So, but even though like I've got friends who are homebodies at home and they've never said that to me. They've never said you should come home, or I think they understand like it's not for them. But it's my life,
Yeah, that's
and I understand their want for staying home because that's their life, and that's and they're happy there. I'm happy here.
Yeah, exactly. I say I have that conversation or that thought a lot about at this point now. I mean, I'm 44 now. It's like do what you want. Like you're not tied to somebody else and what other people think. So how's your perspective changed since you've been here though on home, and what, like we've just kind of talked about it then, like what is home, what is family, and your perspective on those things since you've been here, you think?
Well, I mean, home will always be like Liverpool. I'll always love, and it's home. But your family, as you grow up, obviously you start your own family, and it's hard for me to say. I don't know.
Like I always find home changes for me. Like what's home now? Home's home because my mum and dad are there, maybe my brothers, and they all live there. But
where I grew up, it's not the same for me because my mum and dad have gone.
Yeah.
The street, like the last time I went out, the last time I went out was 2016. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's the last time I went home because my sister's in Scotland. Like I've had no need to go home, and then I had started having the kids, and then because I was waiting for my green card and all that, and then I started having the kids, and it was like to go home with the kids. It wouldn't have been a holiday it would have been too much. You know what I mean? So I was waiting till the kids got older to do that. So when we went home, like County Road, everything was closed. It was a Saturday afternoon, and when I grew up, it used to be bustling, and I was like, "Where are we? Like this isn't where I grew up." Like, it was heartbreaking, to be honest with you.
It's kind of in your head, isn't it? Oh, I think, like...
Yeah, I want to remember like, that.
You hear the noises or you'll hear a conversation and you're like, okay,
yeah,
that's home.
And don't get me wrong, when we went out and stuff, and like then it felt more like home, but it was sad for me to see that change, like so drastic. It was so drastic. Everywhere was shutters and spray paint, and I was like... And I said to Rob, this is where I grew up, and he's like, it's all right. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's not. I want you to see where I grew up. So that was hard for me. So now, like, maybe it'll sound crap to someone, but like this is home for me now. Brooklyn is home to me.
Yeah. But it's that cheesy one, isn't it? It's
Home is where the heart is.
oh, it's where the heart is, yeah.
I mean, that's where my family is now.
Yeah.
Like my little family. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, I love my aunties and my uncles and our Karen and.
But they're the ones that understand, and they're the only ones that really matter anyway. So
yeah,
you know, what are you most proud of since you've been here of yourself?
Like for myself, I think. I mean, just doing it, just coming, and I don't know if I've made it, but you know what I mean. Like I found a job and I found somewhere to live, and you know, I'm kind of proud of that because there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I'd never do that," or you know. And even Rob's sister once said to me, she was like, "You know, you're so brave for doing that," and I was like, "Really?" Like, I mean, I could have just gone home, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like I had nothing to go home to either, but I mean, I guess it is kind of brave to come and just walk around and, you know, not really know anyone that closely to...
Yeah, go and stay in someone's office. That's brave. I wouldn't ever do that.
He was just a normal fella.
I'm joking. It's really nice to me.
I know. You know what? I guess I'm lucky.
You were surprised you're not on a Netflix documentary?
Dateline.
Don't start me on Dateline. Get scared by that music. So, last question. What advice would you give to someone moving to a new country and trying to make it their own with everything else that's going on back home as well and just keeping themselves, you know, focused on doing it?
You know, just you've got to weigh out what you really want and really go for it. If you want to do it, just go for it. Like, as I said, if you do it the right way, which I think is the only way you can do it now anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Just go for it.
Yeah. Mate, thank you. That was really cool. I'm sorry I made you cry.
That's all right. I cry all the time.
But before you go, I have some quick fire questions for you.
Oh, God.
Who would play you in a movie?
I'm not good at this.
What?
Who would play me in a movie?
Didn't realise it was that hard of a question.
Yeah? Why? Do people think about that?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Who's first?
Everyone says I look like Cyndi Lauper. So maybe
Cyndi Lauper.
She's kind of quirky and like, all right,
done,
that'll do.
Done. That was harder than I thought it was going to. All right, breakfast. Well, we can say it properly, can't we, as well? We have to go breakfast, lunch or dinner. Breakfast, dinner or tea?
Oh, tea.
Yeah. Yeah, when you say tea as well, it sounds better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dinner. All right. What's one thing from Liverpool that would definitely work in America?
Cabaroki. It's an idea.
Food for thought. Yeah. It's going out loud. Everyone's going to know the idea by now. If you could have been in any pop group, what would it have been?
Pop group.
Could you have been Sporty Spice?
No.
No?
She does me head in a bit. Actually, I like the Sugar Babes. Remember the Sugar Babes?
Yeah, I do remember the Sugar Babes, yeah.
I like them.
All right, okay.
I like them. I want to be in that one.
Yeah, I want them.
I want that one.
I want that one. What's one Olympic sport that you definitely think you could do?
Not now, but gymnastics, probably. Growing up, I did gymnastics.
Do you like every magician, gymnastics? All right, okay. Gymnastics first. Favourite dinosaur? Everyone's got one.
T-Rex, I guess.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, I don't know. I like what's the Brontosaurus is the one with the long neck.
Yeah.
They're nice.
Yeah, they are nice, them ones, aren't they? Don't know, everyone's got one, isn't it? What's one thing you do now on a regular basis?
Oh, go to the chiropractor.
Do you?
Yeah. I have to go every 3 weeks.
We're the same age, aren't we, as well?
Yeah, don't you go?
No, I've never been.
But you're not a waitress.
Oh, no.
Changing kegs and all that. I don't know.
Fair enough. I never saw that coming. God, all today's full of surprises. Do you have any irrational fears?
I guess, to me, they're not that irrational. But, like, weird things with the kids. Like if Cole went... So you had, like, bars out there. If Cole went out there, I'd be like, oh, he's going to fall through the bars. Like, because he's only little. And Rob's like, he's not going to fall through the bars. But I'll be like, oh, come away from there, you know. And weird.
That's pretty irrational, though. If you had to go on one reality telly show, which one would it be? Could you do The Jungle?
No.
No.
Maybe when I was younger, I might have thought I could, but no, not now. Like, well, I'd want to like go on Housewives or something like that.
Scousewives?
Scousewives. Yeah, no, all that stuff is too much for me.
And this is not because you're from County Road, but have you ever stolen anything?
Yeah.
Go on.
Me and my mate stole key rings in Florida.
How old are you?
15.
Oh, all right, fair. I was still going to go. I'm 37.
One time now in River Island, I went and I didn't have much money, so I was like, well, let me just get a top to go with my jeans for the night, you know, like. And then I saw this bag and I was like, oh, I want the bag, but I was going to pay. I was paying for it, so I took it up to the thing, even though I couldn't really afford it. It was like £50. But I was like, it's cute and it'll make the outfit. So she takes the alarm off and then she rings me up. And then as I'm walking out, I was like, how much did she charge me? She only charged me for the top. But I kept walking. And then I was like, oh my God, did she take the alarm off or didn't she? Because I thought if I go through and they see on the receipt, but I just walked and I walked out and they kept going and I was like, oh my God, I just want to buy. But it wasn't really my fault. It was their fault. So I got to
tell it to the judge, mate. All right, last question. If you could sing a duet with any artist, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, that's hard.
Would it be Aid
Right
the Suit?
now?
Because he could sing.
Oh, I love Aid the Suit. Right now, I would like Teddy Swims. But before, it's too hard. There's too many. I want women and men.
You can have one of each.
All right, women. Maybe Celine Dion. Wait, am I not thinking? There's too many. It's hard.
All right.
I can't.
I didn't realise that was such a hard question.
Like, Phil Collins. Like, I love Phil Collins. It is hard because I want to sing with everyone.
Paula, thank you so much, mate. That was brilliant.
You're welcome.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you or someone you know has a story to share, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us via our socials or visit www.crossingthepondpodcast.com to get in touch. Please be sure to subscribe, like, or leave a comment if you can. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Across Pond Podcasting.